Have you ever noticed that avoidant people often seem to fall deeply in love with a very particular type of person? From what I've observed, there seems to be a pattern in the people avoidants choose for long-term relationships. For example, if I'm looking at a dismissive, avoidant man, I'll naturally pay attention to the characteristics of his wife or long-term partner. If I'm looking at a dismissive, avoidant woman, I'll also look at the traits of the person she chose to build a relationship with. And when you start doing that, certain similarities become hard to ignore.
In many cases, avoidant people themselves will eventually explain what attracted them to their partner. They'll say things like, "I loved this about them," or "This is one of the reasons I chose them."
So while this isn't some universal rule, there does appear to be a recurring pattern. Today, I want to talk about some of the qualities that may make a person especially attractive to someone with avoidant tendencies. And before we get into it, remember that this is based on observations, not an absolute psychological formula. Everyone is different. I'm only looking at patterns, and patterns can be influenced by many different factors. So don't feel like you need to have every single quality I mention. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and most importantly, trust your own judgment. The first quality is emotional regulation.
Avoidant people may feel much more comfortable around someone who can manage their emotions without constantly becoming overwhelmed by them. That doesn't mean you have to hide your feelings or pretend everything is fine. It simply means you can experience an emotion, process it, and communicate it without turning every emotional moment into a crisis.
You can say, "This really hurt me," or "I'm upset about what happened," while still remaining grounded. That kind of emotional stability can make an avoidant person feel respected, understood, and safer within the relationship. The second quality is that you don't play emotional games.
You're not intentionally trying to manipulate them, make them jealous, punish them with silence, or create situations just to get a reaction.
You communicate what you want directly. Of course, nobody gets this right all the time. Everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is that manipulation isn't your strategy for getting closeness. You're honest about what you feel and what you need without deliberately creating emotional pressure. The third quality is that you naturally bring positivity into the relationship. You have a generally hopeful attitude toward life, love, and relationships, and you express that naturally.
Maybe you see a couple going through something difficult and say, "I really admire how they continue to support each other despite everything they've faced." You aren't necessarily trying to teach your avoidant partner anything. You're simply showing them that you believe relationships can survive difficult moments. Over time, that perspective can challenge some of the negative beliefs an avoidant person may carry about love, commitment, or relationships. Your attitude becomes something they experience rather than something you force upon them. Another quality is knowing how to correct someone without humiliating them. If your partner gets something wrong, you don't immediately embarrass them in front of everyone. You wait for an appropriate moment and speak privately. Maybe they mentioned the wrong number of years you've been together. Instead of correcting them publicly and making them feel foolish, you might later say, "Hey, I just wanted to clarify something you mentioned earlier. We've actually been together for almost 3 years." That small difference matters. You can be honest without being disrespectful. You can correct someone while still protecting their dignity. Another quality is valuing effort instead of obsessing over results. You notice the process. You notice when your partner is trying. You recognize progress instead of constantly focusing on what still isn't perfect. Instead of saying, "Why haven't you fixed this yet?" you might say, "I can see how much effort you've been putting into this, and I really appreciate it." That kind of acknowledgement can be powerful because it communicates, "I see you trying." And finally, there's something surprisingly simple. You know when to let certain things go. In couples therapy, people sometimes describe this as one of the qualities they appreciate most about their partner. They'll say, they don't make a huge issue out of every little thing, or they're able to move past things instead of holding on to everything. Of course, what feels small to one person may feel significant to another. So this isn't about ignoring genuine problems or suppressing your feelings. It's about learning which battles actually matter. Not every mistake needs a confrontation. Not every disagreement needs to become an argument. Not every imperfect moment needs to be remembered forever. When someone can recognize that distinction, an avoidant partner may experience the relationship as much less threatening and much more peaceful. And that combination, emotional stability, honesty, positivity, respectful communication, appreciation for effort, and the ability to let go of unnecessary conflict, can create the kind of environment where an avoidant person may feel genuinely comfortable becoming more emotionally connected. That doesn't mean you should change yourself just to make an avoidant love you. The goal isn't to perform these traits for someone else. The real goal is to build a healthier way of relating, one where both people can feel respected, safe, and understood. And that is where Avoidant Heart comes in, helping you understand these patterns without losing yourself in them. Sometimes, letting something go doesn't mean you're agreeing with it forever. There are moments when choosing not to react immediately is actually the healthier decision because you're protecting the connection first. You can always come back to the issue later when both of you are calmer and more prepared to have the conversation. Another quality is knowing how to give an avoidant person space without completely disappearing. This balance can be difficult, but it's extremely important. You can respect their need for distance while still showing that you're present and reliable. For example, you might say, "I think you need some time tonight, so I'm going to give you some space. I'll check in with you tomorrow." That communicates two things at the same time. I respect your space, and I'm not abandoning you. You aren't chasing them, but you aren't suddenly becoming cold or unpredictable either. You remain consistent, you communicate, you follow through. That consistency can make a huge difference. Another quality is moving through life with confidence, rather than constantly fearing what might happen. This isn't about being arrogant or acting like you know everything. In fact, arrogance can make an avoidant person pull away even more. It's more about being curious and trusting yourself enough to make decisions. Imagine you're unhappy with your current job. You've saved enough money to support yourself for a while. You've already applied for other positions, and you have a few interviews coming up. You may decide to leave your current job, even though you don't have another offer yet. Is that automatically the right decision? Not necessarily. It depends on your circumstances. But what matters here is that you're willing to explore your options instead of allowing fear to completely control your choices. You're showing curiosity toward life. And this can be surprisingly attractive to an avoidant person because people often fall in love not only with the qualities they already admire, but also with qualities they secretly wish they could develop in themselves. Avoidant people can struggle with control. I know this because I've personally experienced avoidant tendencies in the past. I used to be extremely rigid about my schedule, my plans, my routines, and the way I wanted things to happen. I could become so controlling about my time and decisions that it pushed people away. Over time, I learned that I didn't have to operate that way. When someone around you naturally demonstrates curiosity, flexibility, and trust in life, it can quietly show an avoidant person that there is another way to live. They may start thinking, maybe everything doesn't have to be planned perfectly. Maybe I don't have to control every outcome. Maybe I can take a risk without knowing exactly how everything will turn out.
maybe I don't always have to rely only on myself. That realization can be incredibly powerful. They may have been operating from control and self-protection since childhood, so they don't necessarily realize that another way of responding is available to them. But when they see you living differently, and especially when they watch you take a calculated risk and still create a positive outcome, they may begin learning from your example. Another quality is emotional validation. When an avoidant person finally becomes vulnerable, you don't immediately judge, criticize, dismiss, or turn their feelings into an argument.
You simply acknowledge what they're experiencing. You might say, "I can understand why that affected you," or "That sounds like it was really difficult for you." You don't have to agree with every conclusion they make. Validation simply tells them, "Your feelings are allowed to exist here." That can gradually build trust, because vulnerability becomes less frightening when it isn't punished. Another quality, and this one depends heavily on how long you've been together, is being willing to call them out when necessary. Interestingly, many avoidant people openly acknowledge in therapy that they appreciate having a partner who tells them the truth. They may say, "I like that my partner is honest with me. I trust their judgment." You don't need to challenge them constantly. In fact, doing that would probably create more conflict. But occasionally being able to say, "I think you're avoiding this," or "I don't think that's actually helping you," can be valuable when it comes from someone they trust. And finally, there's something many people struggle with when they're involved with an avoidant partner: talking about yourself. I see this often. You become so focused on understanding them that the entire relationship starts revolving around their emotions, their distance, their behavior, their childhood, their fears, and what they might be thinking. You ask them about their day. You encourage them to open up. You give them room to talk. But then you forget to let them know what's happening inside your own world. You don't share enough about your thoughts, your experiences, your goals, your frustrations, or the things that make you excited. And ironically, this can prevent genuine intimacy. Connection isn't created by endlessly analyzing the avoidant person. It's created when two people gradually allow each other into their worlds. So yes, give them room to speak, but remember that you deserve to be heard too. Let them learn who you are, not just how well you understand them. That balance is important because a healthy relationship isn't one person constantly accommodating the other. It's two people creating enough safety for both of them to be seen. Try to share more of your own life with your partner. Your experiences, your goals, your opinions, and the things you care about matter too. When you communicate that you have your own identity and your own life, it shows a healthy level of self-confidence. You're not constantly putting your partner above yourself or making them the center of everything. And this is especially important with avoidant people, because being placed on a pedestal can actually make them uncomfortable. There's a reason for that. Some avoidant people have childhood experiences where they felt like others had extremely high expectations of them. They may have learned that being admired came with pressure, that if they failed to live up to those expectations, someone would become disappointed, angry, or emotionally overwhelmed. I can relate to this personally. I've mentioned before that my father had avoidant tendencies, and growing up, I learned a lot of those same patterns. I was taught to suppress emotions and stay in control. My parents were also divorced, and my mother was much more anxious and became very emotionally attached to me. Because she had such strong expectations of me, I often felt even more pressure to pull away. She wanted certain things from me, and on some level, I think she was trying to change parts of me that reminded her of my father. At the same time, she placed me extremely high in her eyes. That combination created a strange dynamic. She was deeply attached to me,
but she also had an image of who she wanted me to become. And when someone puts you on a pedestal, it can feel like you're constantly being measured against an impossible standard.
An avoidant person may interpret that feeling as, if I don't live up to what you expect from me, eventually you're going to become angry or disappointed. That may not be what you actually intend at all, but that can be how they experience it. When you constantly praise someone, prioritize them, expect a certain version of them, and become heavily invested in how they behave, they may start feeling that there's enormous pressure attached to your admiration. So instead of putting your partner on a pedestal, try to meet them as an equal. You can appreciate them deeply without making them responsible for your happiness or expecting them to constantly live up to an idealized version of themselves. And remember to share your own world too. You matter just as much. Another important quality is being non-judgmental. Avoidant individuals often feel safer when they know they can express themselves without immediately being criticized, analyzed, or attacked.
A relationship becomes easier to trust when someone can admit what they're feeling without worrying that their vulnerability will later be used against them. That doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say. It means creating an environment where honesty is possible. And finally, introduce new experiences into the relationship. Do something neither of you normally does. Go rock climbing. Try a new restaurant. Take a class together. Play chess. Go somewhere neither of you has been before. It doesn't have to be complicated. The point is to create experiences where your partner gets to discover different sides of you.
When you experience something new together, they may see your personality in ways they haven't seen before. They get to appreciate your spontaneity, curiosity, humor, confidence, or other qualities without feeling like you're trying to force them to change. Sometimes connection grows simply because two people experience something meaningful together. So, if we put everything together, these are some of the qualities that can make a relationship feel safer and more attractive to an avoidant person. Manage your emotions without suppressing them. Don't rely on games or manipulation. Bring a positive perspective into the relationship. Correct your partner privately and respectfully. Appreciate effort instead of obsessing over perfect outcomes. Learn when certain things are worth letting go. Give them space when they need it, but remain consistent and dependable. Move through life with confidence, curiosity, and flexibility. Validate their emotions when they become vulnerable.
Be willing to call them out occasionally when they need honesty from someone they trust. Talk about yourself and allow your partner to know your world too. Don't judge them for every emotion or reaction. And create new experiences together that allow both of you to discover different sides of each other. But remember, none of this means you should completely reshape yourself to become someone an avoidant person will love. You shouldn't have to abandon your needs, silence your feelings, or constantly walk on eggshells just to keep someone close. The healthiest connection happens when both people can remain individuals while still building something together.
You are important too. Your needs matter. Your life matters. And your relationship should have room for both people to feel seen, respected, and understood. I hope this helped you understand avoidant relationships from a different perspective.
If you found this valuable, support Avoidant Heart by liking the video and subscribing for more conversations about attachment, emotional connection, and relationship psychology. I'll see you in the next one. And there's one more thing I want you to remember before we finish. When you're dealing with an avoidant person, it can become very easy to turn the entire relationship into a study of them. You start watching every text, every pause, every change in tone, every moment of distance, and every small sign of affection. You start asking yourself, what are they thinking? Why did they pull away? Does this mean they care?
Should I give them space? And before you know it, You've stopped paying attention to yourself. That's where things can become unhealthy. Understanding avoidant behavior can be useful, but understanding yourself is just as important. You shouldn't have to become an expert at managing another person's emotions while completely ignoring your own. You can give someone space without abandoning your own boundaries. You can be patient without waiting indefinitely. You can understand their fears without making excuses for behavior that hurts you. That distinction matters, because the goal isn't to become the perfect person for an avoidant. The goal is to create a relationship where both people can gradually become more secure.
If you're naturally emotionally stable, communicate directly, maintain your own life, and respect another person's need for independence, that can create a very different dynamic from one based on chasing, pressure, fear, and emotional games. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply remain yourself. Don't become louder because they become quieter. Don't become more demanding because they create distance. Don't start proving your worth because they seem uncertain. And don't abandon your personality just because you're afraid that being too much of yourself will make them leave. Let them discover who you actually are. Let them see that you have your own interests, your own friendships, your own ambitions, your own opinions, and your own direction in life. That independence can actually make connection feel safer because you're not communicating, "You are responsible for completing me."
Instead, you're communicating, "I want you in my life, but I also know how to stand on my own." That is a very different message. And if an avoidant person begins to trust you, something interesting can happen. They may gradually stop seeing closeness as something that takes away their freedom. They may begin to realize that intimacy doesn't necessarily mean losing themselves. They can have a relationship and still have personal space. They can communicate their emotions without being controlled. They can make mistakes without being humiliated. They can disagree without the relationship immediately falling apart. And they can be loved without being placed under impossible expectations. That's where real emotional safety starts to develop. But remember, this process takes time. You cannot force someone into emotional security. You cannot love someone hard enough to instantly remove their attachment patterns. And you cannot do their healing for them. You can only control the way you show up. You can communicate honestly. You can maintain your boundaries. You can remain emotionally grounded. You can give space when appropriate. You can stay consistent. And you can continue building a life that exists beyond the relationship. If they choose to meet you there, the relationship can grow. If they don't, you still haven't lost yourself trying to make it work. And honestly, that may be one of the most important lessons when loving someone with avoidant tendencies. Love should create connection, not erase your identity. So yes, understand their psychology. Learn why they may pull away. Recognize what makes them feel safe and what may trigger their defenses. But never forget to ask yourself the same questions. What makes you feel safe? What do you need? What